Rockies baseball.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And this is a good time to be betting on FanDuel because we got the NBA playoffs going on, the finals, and you've got the Stanley Cup finals are going on as I record this live podcast. And look, I can't claim to be a big fan of the NHL, but you know what? I'd like to see Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers win because, look, I have nothing against the good fans of Florida, but the Panthers won it last year. And Florida's seen a lot of Stanley Cups recently. The Bolts have done great. The Panthers have done great. And, I'd like to see a Canadian team win. And the teams, the Bolts and the Panthers have really done a lot to mollify the baseball fans in Florida because, quite frankly, there's been a lot of reason to scratch your head about the baseball teams in Florida recently. The Rays have been a good team recently, but they've had the tearing the roof off the dump should be metaphorical. And the Marlins are doing so badly, they did the unthinkable today. But follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days. And on Instagram, I am your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And the best way to get hold of me is right here on the YouTubes. I'm doing a live one right here, right now. Hey, the question I gave was between 2010 and 2019, what franchise had three different managers win the Manager of the Year award? A bunch of people guessed the Washington Nationals, who, man, every other year, the Nationals had a great run in between 2010 and 2019. Phenomenal run. They made the playoffs in 2012, 2014, 2015, 2016. Wait, no. 2016, 2017. They missed in 2018, and then they won the World Series in 2019. That's 5 trips to the postseason, including a World Series title. You can't ask for a better run than that. And Davey Johnson and Matt Williams were indeed managers of the year. 4 different managers managed the Nationals to the playoffs in that stretch. But alas, Dusty and Dave Martinez were left out of the cold. Scott Horstmeyer got it right. It was the Twins. Ron Gardenhire was the manager of the year in 2010. The Twins, by the way, the Twins had a terrific 2010s as well. But it's amazing how different the aura a team's decade has when you win a World Series. Ron Gardenhire was the manager of the year for Minnesota in 2010. And then later, Hall of Famer Paul Molitor. Remember that? He led the Twins to the postseason, and he won Manager of the Year, but he only lasted 2 seasons there. And then Rocco Baldelli took over. The Twins had a wonderful season in 2019. No one remembers it because they got swept by the Yankees. If you win a World Series title, oh, there you go, Scott Horstmeyer, good job. If you win a World Series title, it sort of it elevates how you did that decade. The Twins have had a lot of postseason appearances between 2002 and 2019. They were in the playoffs in 2002, got to the ALCS, 2003, 2004. They had a terrific team, a wonderful team in 2006. They missed the playoffs by 1 game in 2008, lost a 1-game playoff. Then they won a fabulous 1-game playoff in 2009. They won the division in 2010. They made the postseason a couple of more times at the end of the decade, a couple of times this decade. So the Twins should be looked upon as one of the most exciting teams in baseball, right? Whoops! No one thinks of them that way because they didn't win a World Series. The Angels also had a great 2000s, and their their decade feels more elevated because they won the World Series in 2002. Same thing with the Nationals in the 2010s. Oh, they won it all. The Royals feel like they had a fantastic 2010s because they won back-to-back pennants and they won the World Series in 2015. All the other years, they were garbage. So, I mean, that's almost a question. And I just think of this right now. Put the answers to this down in the comments here. Would you rather have a run like the Twins or the A's? The A's were in the playoffs all the time in the 2000s and the 2010s. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2006, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19. In a 20-year span, they were in the playoffs 11 times, and they never got to the World Series. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have a run like the Royals, where during that stretch they were relevant a grand total of 2 years? They made the playoffs, and both of them nearly won at one at the other time. Which would you rather have as a fan? I said that is a philosophical question. I know what you don't want to have as a fan. You want to have a season like the Colorado Rockies are having right now. Right now, they're a big pile of garbage, and they're right now making people think, hey, maybe that run that the White Sox had, the worst team that we've ever seen in the history of baseball, maybe that run as the worst team of all time will last a grand total of 1 year. That in terms of terrible teams, last year's White Sox are going to be the Buster Douglas that they held the title. The next thing you know, it's over. But let's hear it for them. Kyle Freeland got the win. 3-2. 3-2 victory for your Colorado Rockies. And Kinley got his second save, which is amazing because he has 2 saves, and the Rockies only have 12 wins. So that's pretty amazing. But, Freeland pitched very well. He pitched 6 1/3 innings. He did not let up an earned run. He got his first victory of the year, lowered his ERA to 5.19. Kinley got the save. And Goodman, who has been unbelievable. He didn't homer today, but he doubled and tripled. He tripled in that first inning and made everyone think, holy cow, they're going to actually do something here. And Jordan Beck, who, can get a hold of one. There you go. By the way, Hunter Goodman is going to make the All-Star team. He is going to be the All-Star for this brand of Colorado Rockies. Now, we're going to find out, are the Rockies a team that, the law of average, they were so terrible the first third of the season that just eventually things are going to have to happen and go better for them. They'll have to win a few more games. We're going to find out. We're going to find out exactly what's going to happen to this Colorado team because they face a more they have a more challenging situation, and the Marlins are downright terrible. The Marlins are so bad it makes me want the Panthers to win back-to-back Stanley Cups, just so Miami fans can be happy about something. But I do want a Canadian team to win. But the Rocks are going to be playing the Mets, and we're going to see, was this the Rockies beating the Marlins or the Marlins being beaten by the Rocks? Either way, savor it. And by the way, I have a feeling there are more people in the live stream right now than who attended that game today in Miami. Wow. That was attended like when they have a high school championship game in a major league stadium and about 600 people come out and usually it's, let's go. Let's go, Justin. That's what it looked like. Except Let's Go Justin was actually the Rockies versus the Miami Marlins. It was attended so badly, it actually looked like a Sacramento A's game. Hit that button too fast. But guess what? You know what? The NBA Finals are in full swing. 2 fan bases that have never seen an NBA championship are going head-to-head, and one of those fan bases are going to have their first ever NBA title. Notice how I phrased that. The Indiana Pacers have never won the NBA title. The Oklahoma City Thunder have never won it in Oklahoma City. They did when they were the Seattle Supersonics, but I have a feeling there are not a lot of people currently in Oklahoma who were rooting for Seattle in the late 70s. I digress. It is a fantastic time to go out there and say, hey, I think the Thunder are going to win it. Hey, the Pacers have been upsetting everyone. They upset the Cavaliers. They upset the Knicks. Why not upset the Thunder? Well, why not have more fun in this? And go to FanDuel. It makes it easy to stay in the game before the tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You can keep track of the player trends, build your next bet, and you can combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action folds. And you can back it up with a same-game parlay, and you get 200 bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. If you're new to FanDuel, it's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Yeah, I was a little quick to the draw with the ad there, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Hey, we're doing a live one here. We got a bunch of, looks like we got Booty from Locked On A's. The Twins summer scoreboard is really good. Yeah, the Twins, give them credit, Booney. Give them credit. This is a time to, the Twins dug themselves out of a hole. The Twins looked like they were going to have a miserable season, and they got the winning streak at the right time. Now, another team that seems to be really doing this, I brought this up the other day, but the Milwaukee Brewers dusted themselves off. They had a tough loss the other day. The game-tying home run was caught at the warning track. So what did they do today? They blew the doors off the dump in Cincinnati. And when they won the game, what was the final score of that game? As my mom would say, the final score was a lot to not enough. It was 9-1. Priester got the victory. Abbott, by the way, Abbott's pitched really well for the Cincinnati Reds. Not today, but a low point, as I mentioned the other day, a low point was just a couple of weeks ago. The Milwaukee Brewers were looking like, are they going to be sellers? As they were 4 games under 500, only the lowly Pirates were keeping them out of the cellar, but they were hanging around teams like Washington and Miami and Pittsburgh. Like, is this going to be one of those really bad years, especially after some very good years? And then Christian Yelich woke up, and they've gone on. They've won 13 out of their next 17 games. Now, in bad luck for them, the Cubs have also been going on a rampage at the same time. So it's not like they've been gaining ground on the division lead, but they are jumping right in to get that final wild card spot, and they have the decent pitching, and it's really based on Christian Yelich. Yelich heated up, and he got another hit today. Once he heated up, the team heated up. And you see Jackson Chourio also had a great game today. He got his 3 hits, hit a home run, and stole a base. And it was Priester who got Hall pitched the first 3 innings. Then Priester came in. Quinn Priester pitched 5 innings out of the pen. And then Mears got the final out. I would have just had Priester finish the game up, but what do I know? And they smacked around Abbott, who's a pretty good pitcher. And, Trevino got 3 hits for the Reds, but good for the Brewers. Dust yourself off, see what you got. And the Brewers are going into that stretch right now where they can really make some roads here. The key for them is to keep winning series. Now, tomorrow, Milwaukee is idle, so they can rest up. And then off they go back to Milwaukee and to play San Diego. Now, right now, San Diego has this aura of being a legit pennant contender and the Brewers of an outskirt of the wild card. But the fact of the matter is the Milwaukee Brewers are only 1 game back in the win column of the Padres. They're 5 back in the loss column, but they almost have as many wins. And by the way, they're 5 games back in the loss column of Los Angeles as well. Now, they have to keep winning these series. The Cubs series is looming, absolutely looming. And right now, they're 7 games back in the loss of the Chicago Cubs. So thinking about the division is probably a bit overly ambitious if you're a Milwaukee Brewers fan. But that being said, and I just said it, I got the video proof that I just said it. Now's the time you just keep chipping away. One of the things that we've seen when you've seen teams dust themselves off after a rotten start, and some teams have won recent World Series, including the Atlanta Braves in 2021, the aforementioned Washington Nationals in 2019, when we saw the Diamondbacks make the playoffs and the Phillies, especially the Phillies, making the playoffs in 2020. One of the ways you reverse a rotten first third of the season is just keep winning series. And the Brewers are heading home. Patrick is pitching for them. The bullpen will be rested and ready. The team will be rested and ready. And they've been on a roll. San Diego's a weird team. Sometimes the Padres look like, oh my God, this is the year. Finally. They are finally going to do it. And then there's some years where they just don't look like anything's really happening. Now, Fernando Tatis Jr., he's been hitting lots of homers. Jackson Merrill, he's been doing his job when he's in the lineup. And you see that their pitching staff nominally is phenomenal. And also their closer, Suarez, nominally has been fantastic. But it's been a little bit of a rough stretch recently. If you take a look at the Padres over the last, I don't know, when they went off that great stretch where they got to 27-15, right around that same time that the Brewers were 4 games under 500. The Padres were 27-15 and only half a game behind Los Angeles for the best record in the National League. Since then, they're 8-9. Not horrible, but not really great. And the Brewers have been great. So when you looked at the schedule just a couple weeks ago, this looked like a surefire win for San Diego. But there are ebbs and flows to the season. And boy, oh boy, Rockies fans better hope that there's some ebbs and flows to the season. That there's like, hey, do you know what? Sometimes we're not horrible. Sometimes you're not horrible. I love it when I get to quote Voltaire. But this is a big time. If San Diego comes to Milwaukee can win this series. Brewers fans, and especially if Churio keeps hitting home runs and Yelich keeps being productive and they keep getting good performance out of their pitching staff. They punch the Phillies in the face. They smack the Reds around a little bit, and this is a chance to counterpunch the San Diego Padres. This is a big, big gut check for the Milwaukee Brewers. By the way, there's a little bit of a gut check today. You got to give credit where credit is due. The Red Sox got off to as rotten a start. They were on the verge of being swept by the Angels. They let up 4 runs in the first inning. They let up 6 runs in the first inning in one game, 4 runs in the first inning today. And they countered with 5 runs in the bottom of the first. But guess what? The Angels got 3 runs right back. And it was that kind of a game. It was a back and forth game until it was 9-9, and Cedon hit a ball. Rafael Cedon hit a ball down the right field line, and it was the right fielder had to come in. Okay, he had to come in to catch the ball, but because it's Fenway Park. By the way, I called him Rafaela Cedon. I know his name is Cedon Rafaela. What the hell is the matter with me? I'll tell you what's the matter with me. I'm talking a mile a minute. But Cedon's fly ball went to right field. The right fielder had to come in to catch it, and it wrapped around the pole. This is why people hate Fenway Park. That should have been a dump double down the line. Instead, it was a walk-off home run. But you know what? Fenway giveth and Fenway taketh away. And Red Sox fans have to take it any way they can. They could not go into the Yankee series on a humiliating sweep. I got news for you. The Red Sox are probably going to get their butts kicked by the Yankees. It is probably not going to be pretty. So, you may have to file a few things under yikes coming up this weekend. And this is not me using reverse psychology. I've seen what this Red Sox team can do. What they can't do is pitch. Unless Crochet is going to pitch all the games against the Yankees. You know what? They're gonna have to win. They're gonna have to win one slugfest, and the arms are gonna be a little bit tired. When it comes down to sluggers, today is the anniversary of a big day for arguably our greatest slugger and someone who, well, is complicated. And I still stand by there's a way to preserve his legacy. Recording the show on the 4th day of June. And on this day in 1986, the Braves and the Pirates were playing each other. And a outfielder for the Pirates wearing number 7 wound up hitting a home run off of Craig McMurtry of the Atlanta Braves. And that player, of course, was Barry Bonds. Now, also on this day, on June 4th, 1981, just 5 years prior, Bobby Bonds had his contract purchased by the Chicago Cubs. Bonds was a great player, both of them. Bobby Bonds was a wonderful right-handed power hitter who was being groomed to be the next great San Francisco superstar. And boy, oh boy, the Giants just produced all-star outfielder after all-star outfielder in the early 70s. They traded them all away. Gary Matthews, George Foster, who went on to win an MVP with the Reds, and Bobby Bonds. Now, Bonds was troubled. Bonds had a hard relationship with the press and evidently had a hard relationship with alcoholism. And the way that the press treated him put a chip on the proverbial shoulder of his son, Barry. On this day in 1981, Bonds was acquired by the Cubs. Why that is interesting is that he's best remembered for the Giants and being groomed by Willie Mays to essentially be his successor. But when the Giants traded him to the Yankees for Bobby Mercer, he wound up bouncing from team to team. He was with the Yankees briefly, then the Yankees traded him in a trade that actually worked out very well for the Yankees because the Yankees wound up getting Mickey Rivers and Ed Figueroa from the Angels. He had a wonderful year with the Angels, but he was everywhere he went. He undoubtedly was talented, but was unwelcome in the clubhouse. He wound up bouncing to the White Sox, to the Rangers, to Cleveland, to St. Louis, and finally to the Chicago Cubs, right around the time his son was starring at Arizona State. And on this day in 1986, on the anniversary of his father being acquired by the final team that he played for, Bonds hit home run number 1. Now, we all know that talking about Bonds is a lightning rod. And do you know what? He was a lightning rod when he was skinny. Like Alex Rodriguez, when people are saying, well, he was a juicer. I don't like he was a juicer. He was a villain before anyone suspected anything bad was happening. People thought Bonds was surly and unlikable and this, that, and the other thing when he was with Pittsburgh. And he was lean and skinny and stealing. He stole 52 bases in 1990. He stole 43 bases in 1991. He was a 40-base stealer in 96. He was an all-around player, and before he got bulky, he led the league in on-base percentage every year, led the league in walks every year, was a home run champion as a skinny dude with the 1993 Giants. He won 3 MVPs between 1990 and 1993, and probably should have won 4 straight. The only reason he didn't win 4 straight was because he wasn't really particularly a loved player, and Terry Pendleton had a really cool story that he took over the Atlanta Braves and they wound up winning the pennant. Bonds had a much better season than him that year. By the way, the league leader in wins above replacement that year was Tom Glavine, and Bonds had the highest wins above replacement as a hitter. He did everything, but people didn't like him before he was controversial. Much like people didn't like A-Rod when people thought he was clean. The hatred of Bonds in terms of performance-enhancing drugs, I think, is completely retroactive. Now, of course, when he suddenly turned into Lou Ferrigno, right around the time that he became the first player ever with 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases, and all the attention of the world was on Sosa and McGwire, suddenly he showed up at the Giants camp looking like he got stung by a bee and became the greatest home run hitter we've ever seen. And did so with some years where, you could point to your thoughts of this, that, or the other thing. He had an on-base percentage in 2004 of .609. I want you to think about what that means. Okay, we all were suspecting him. He was probably doing something, okay? His on-base percentage, not his slugging percentage, his on-base percentage was .609. You know the adage of even the best players fail, 7 out of 10 times. No, he was succeeding 6 out of 10 times. His final year, he was 42 years old, still had 28 home runs and led the league in on-base percentage. Now, I know he has the cloud of PEDs hanging over him. So does Ortiz. He's in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. So did Ivan Rodriguez. He was named in the Mitchell. He was named in the whole Balco situation. So if they're in, then it's not about performance-enhancing drugs, right? And you're saying, well, he didn't have a positive, test. Neither did Bagwell. And Bagwell is, I'm sorry, the most obvious case. A guy who's a skinny player, the scouting reports that didn't have any power, trade to Houston, comes buddy with Ken Caminiti, turns into Paul Bunyan, and retires just as testing shows up. There's more red flags there than in a parade in North Korea. And he's in the Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. We have to, at some point, Bonds is going to be in. And I've always given this example of what we need to do is have him take an at-bat every year. Just restart his Hall of Fame eligibility. You look at some of the offense we're seeing in baseball right now. Look at some of the teams. Hell, the Pirates. Look at the freaking Pirates right now, who actually have good pitching. Paul Skeens, surprise, lost another game where he was brilliant the other day. Take a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, a team that desperately needs anything resembling a bat. Put Bonds in there to be the DH. You're telling me that he's not going to have a high on-base percentage? Whatever you think of Barry Bonds, his baseball IQ was off the charts. He would not swing at anything if it wasn't perfectly in the zone. And if you threw it in the zone, it was gone. Now, he may not have the 50, 60, 70 home run power that he had when he was bigger. I still think he would have an on-base percentage in the high 400s. You put him, you've seen him, have you seen him recently? He's bicycling all over the Bay Area, biking all around Santa Clara County. Put him on the Pirates like he did in 1986. Is he going to hit 40 home runs? I don't know. I don't put it past him. He'll hit 20 easily, but he'll get on base all the time. You put him lead off, he will get on base 2 or 3 times a game. And one way you score runs, and I don't need to be a sabermetrician, but one way you get to score runs is if there are runners on base. A base hit, he runs first or third. Go pretend you're on a bike, Barry. I don't care what age he is. Name one hitter on the current Pittsburgh Pirate team that you would say, do you know what? I would rather have them at the plate than Barry Bonds now. Put that answer down there. Which current Pirate is better than Barry Bonds now in the lineup? I want to see the answer to that. If you say Neil Cruz, then boy, oh boy, you must be the biggest homer there is. So, hey, that's my thoughts, and I'm sticking to it. Pirates, reset his Hall of Fame calendar right now, his Hall of Fame ticker. And, oh, yeah, get yourself the leadoff hitter that you desperately want. And also, oh, yeah, Bonds finished with 2,935 hits. He'll get his 3,000th hit. And then each year you put him in there, it makes his Hall of Fame stats go a little further down the line, until eventually all the people who don't want him in the Hall of Fame will be, and this is a technical term, dead. And then there we'll go. By the way, thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen today. For a second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long, get local analysis on the national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on this channel on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And one other thing. Oh, yeah, Booney from Locked On 8 says he'd rather have Joey Bart. There you go. Good call on that. I'd rather have Joey Bishop. But here we go. The trivia question. I mentioned Craig McMurtry led up Barry Bonds' first home run. What major league pitcher gave up his last home run? Who gave up Barry Bonds' final home run in his career, at least until his great comeback? Put your answers right down here on the YouTubes and follow us at Locked On. And Devin Stafford says, I'm ready to put Bonds at first. There you go. Do you mean at first base or a leadoff, Devin? Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully, but Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, and make sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Talking about the unstoppable Colorado Rockies, of which Calvin says good for the Rockies. The Brewers, who may be eyeing that chance to get a wild card spot. The Red Sox, who won a game because they had to. And remembering the first home run of Barry Bonds' career. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.